All right. Well, I am here, Taylor Marshall, with
Alexander Tschugguel.
and Alexander's been in the United States for the past week, and he goes back to his homeland, Austria, tomorrow. And we wanted to just get his review and his take on his stay here in the United States. It's been great to have you, and do some Q&A.
Yes.
So this is not your first trip,
No.
and you came into New York.
Yes, I landed in Newark, next to New York, and I landed there on Monday afternoon, sorry. I started Monday morning in Austria, and we arrived at Monday afternoon, and then we went to Lancaster to visit friends of us. And on the next day, on Tuesday, we went to Washington, D.C. First, we did a visit to the TFP estate in Spring Grove, which was wonderful to see. And then we visited Washington, D.C., and I gave a speech there, which was a fantastic thing for me because I saw that all over the world, and especially in your capital here in the United States, in Washington, there are many great guys, many great people. Very good clergy was there too. And then we went back to New York, and I stayed 2 days in New York, and 2.5 days. And Friday morning, we got on the train and flight to Texas, and you picked us up.
Good.
That's pretty much it.
Good. And when you got to Texas, we had a fish dinner on Friday,
Yes.
and we were sitting around, and a Willie Nelson song came on the radio as we were
Yes.
sitting outside by the fire. And Alexander said, "Oh, I like Willie Nelson. It's good." And then my wife Joy said, "I think Willie Nelson is playing here in Fort Worth this weekend." And we got the phone out, and he was playing Friday night.
Yes.
So we said, "You want to go?" He said, "Let's go." So we jumped in the car and we went to Billy Bob's, Texas, which is the biggest honky tonk in the world. And we did some dancing, learned some Texas two-step, which is very good.
Yes.
You and Emily, very good.
Thank you.
And then we saw Willie Nelson, and he's looking old,
He was really old, but it was nice.
but he did well.
I heard he is a liberal, but his music was actually, I liked it.
Mhm.
And the people were so kind, and we had the possibility to have really a nice time dancing and having a beer there. And I got a Texas belt
Yeah,
buckle.
do you have it on?
No, right now
you took it off.
Sorry, I took it off, but it's a wonderful one. And then I was very happy. And the next day, we had the time to sleep a little bit longer. And after that, we visited a shooting range, a very Texan thing to do. In Austria, I normally, if I go to a shooting range as a hunter, I normally go there with hunting weapons. This time I had the possibility to shoot some real American guns.
Yeah,
It
we
was
had
quite nice.
We did some AR-15,
Yes.
AK-47, some handguns. It was fun. There's some people on Twitter that didn't like that.
Yeah, I think so. But, whatever I would do or you would do, they do not like us at all. So I could mow the lawn, and they would say, he mows the anti-Catholic lawn.
Right. Yeah.
Even though we tried to grow the real Catholic flowers.
That's right.
Grow
That's
the real,
right.
yeah. So and then we had this wonderful reception in Fort Worth at the Flying Saucer, which is a kind of Wurst bar in Fort Worth.
That's right.
They say they have the worst food
Yes.
in Texas.
Like the bratwurst.
Yes, like bratwurst. And many people were there, and I really have to say, you Texans you amazed me. It is nice to see that within the United States you have so many great people, and especially in Texas. And the people we met in New York were very kind to us. But New York City as a city was something which I as an Austrian, I really did not get a good feeling there of how to understand the city and how to live there. But I really understood quite well why you love Texas.
Well, we have a lot of Germanic people in Texas.
Yeah, I saw that you have many names on the signs and so on which are German. So I thought that's really wonderful. And then at the evening, we had a nice Texan dinner with steak.
That's right. We had steak. We went to Del Frisco's, had a good steak. We had
Very good.
We had a good pie.
Yes, it was an amazing pie.
Coconut
actually.
pie. That was good. And then this morning we went to Mater Dei Catholic Church, the Fraternity of St. Peter, which is my home parish, and we had a solemn high mass, and that went very well. And you got to meet the clergy, and all the people were glad to shake the hand of the Pachamama Pacha Idol
It was
picture.
it was such an honor to shake their hands, because actually I was so amazed. I normally attend FSSP in Vienna too, and or sometimes the oratory. It depends, but normally FSSP, and I really love them. And what I saw here, the whole church was really full with fantastic families, and they all came up to me, and they are all, father, mother, a few children. The children are all very well behaved and very Catholic. And you from this you really see that the society can grow to be a fantastic society if the fundament is the Catholic faith, because you see how great this works out actually. And I was very happy to see that, and I'm very amazed, and so I'm really, I think I will return to Texas.
Excellent. And then we had a little surprise for you at the back of the church.
Yes.
Tell everybody about that.
At the back of the church, you mean what, that we had an interview?
No. I'm talking about the relic.
Ah, yes, at the back, inside the church.
Yes, inside the back. Yeah.
Inside the church, for you all to know, if you've never visited Mater Dei in Fort Worth, Dallas, here at FSSP, they have a relic of Blessed Karl of Austria, so our Kaiser Karl, as we call him. And I was so happy. I really like seeing that around the world, but I wasn't thinking about seeing that actually here in Texas. And it was such a nice picture of him, and I put it on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram. It's just my name, Alexander Tschugguel. And you saw, it was really wonderful. It was really wonderful. I prayed there with my wife.
Yep, and there's an Austrian flag.
Yes, there's an old Austrian flag, yep. And there's the picture of the emperor, and I was so happy. So what I see here is that there is already a wonderful Austria connection in Texas, and we'll try to keep that up.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And then for dinner today, we gave you Texas chili.
Yes, wonderful
with cornbread and some tamales.
Yes, I can tell you, Taylor's wife is a really fantastic chief.
She is. Well, it's been great, and it's been a joy for me to sit back and see all the people greeting you and coming up. And the thing that I heard the most, you can of course verify this, but I heard so many people when they came up to you, Alexander, and talked to you, they said, "Thank you for doing that. That's something that we all wanted to do. You were our hands for us." And then I also heard people saying, "You gave us hope. We were so discouraged. We were so upset. And when we saw that, we said, the faith is still alive. There is still action in the church." I'm excited about it because it's a European, right? It's from Austria. And so many people were brokenhearted and discouraged during the Amazon Synod, not only because of the documents, but also because of these Pacha idols that needed to be cleansed from the earth. And so, people all over, not just here in Texas, people all over saw this as a great moment of hope. So on behalf of everyone, thank you. And it's a great opportunity for people here in America and in Texas to shake your hand and say, that's what we all wanted to do. Thank you.
I can only answer what I answered to the people who told me that I have actually to thank you as supporters, because if you would go out to the fight and you do not have an army in your back, you're going to lose. So it was you, the supporters, all the Catholics, the faithful out there who prayed for us, to support us. You gave us the possibility to do what we've done. And what I saw here in Texas and all around the world, and also in Austria and Italy, is that the people, when we did this, when we threw them into the Tiber and released the video, the people had the possibility to talk out loud about their faith.
Yes.
And some of them were not used to doing that the last decade. So you see that they were really relieved. It was really a big relief for them, and they were so happy. And that makes me happy, because talking to all the faithful Catholics, and suddenly you see this shine going on, and the shine in their eyes, and the energy of the faith coming through. It is really beautiful. So right now it is our duty to understand what decisions we have to make in life. Right now there are some big decisions to make, some public decisions to make. And I think that now is the time for all of us to be courageous and go out and tell the people that what we believe. and why we believe, and be there for the others. Because what I tell all of them, all the supporters, I think most of the people who will watch this right now will all be faithful Catholics. You will pray your rosary. You will go to the sacraments, especially to the Holy Mass, to the Holy Communion, and to confession. And your faith won't get destroyed by the things happening in the church. Of course, it is a test. But if I now watch the world and watch the Catholics, I see that their faith actually gets stronger, because they really right now they have to care, they have to look into their faith and into the belief and into what they believe. So we should understand that our whole fight for the good cause is there for a few reasons. The first one is to serve God, so be servants to God. Really obey him and serve him. The best you can do is serving God. But the second is try to get your soul to heaven, and while doing that, try to get as much souls as possible coming with you. So your duty is to go to your family and to your friends, and of course to public and to your parish and so on, and tell them about the faith. If you see someone struggle with the faith, do not only pray for him. It's good to pray for him. It's very important. But if it is within your possibilities to help him personally, go on, do that. Because actually, the fight right now brings many people into a big era of confusion. And if in this confusion they decide not to follow God, they decide for their eternal soul to die, So to go in the eternal life they will spend not with God, but rather with the people who decided not to follow God in hell. So right now it is really important for us to know that you do not fight for yourself alone. You fight especially for the others who are not able to fight.
Yeah, it's often said that no one goes to heaven alone and no one goes to hell alone. If you go to heaven, it means you brought people with you to heaven. If you go to hell, you brought people to hell with you.
That's it, yes.
Because our salvation, like our Lord says, when I was hungry, you gave me food. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. And that all applies not only with these acts of mercy, but also with sharing the gospel and reaching out to people. I was an Anglican, Alexander was a Lutheran, and there were key people in our lives who reached out to us and challenged us and said, you need to become a Catholic.
So that's it. We have to thank these people, and there's something we can do right now. Many people ask me on what they should do right now, what should happen, what they should do, and I can give you a few answers. The first thing is try to really know your faith. It is what also Dr. Marshall says quite often, Taylor, that praying the rosary and do your prayers, do your daily prayers, but also know the faith. So try to understand what the sacraments are and why you get them. Try to understand the Catholic Church. Not every one of you will understand it the same way, because not every one of you is supposed to do that. It depends on what your duty on earth is and what talents God gave you. Some of you will understand it out of an intention and a feeling, and maybe by their heart. Some of us will understand it here in their brains and in a logical way. It does not matter how you come to the faith, but as soon as you're there, it is your duty. This is something we have to learn from God Himself. God is the pure love, and because He's the pure love, He had to create something. As He was not forced to do it, of course, because He's the number one, He's the chief. But because of His pure love,
it's fitting.
Yes, it's fitting for Him to create something, to go out and do good. And so for us, as soon as we try to really understand what the love of God gives us, we have to pass it on to the next one. And this is something you can do in different ways. First of all, you have to understand what fighting means. Fighting does not mean getting in a fight out of no reason. It does not mean going to the bar, drinking beers, and then hitting someone, even though this is also called fighting. What we mean when we talk about the fight is, first of all, the spiritual fight. You have to win against the number one enemy down there. This one, he was once and still is the angel of light, but the angel of light has fallen. So we try to follow, if we follow the angels, especially Saint Michael. But we have to understand what this fight is. So first of all, the fight's going on in your own soul. It is if you try to commit sins, try to not commit sins, or if you commit sins, for example. Whenever you see yourself having a decision of something which is good or bad, and you choose for the bad side, these are the fights you fight every day, and these are the fights you have to try to win over. And you can only win over them with the sacraments and with prayer. It's not possible for you without the help of the church. It's not possible. I have to repeat it many times because many people think going to the woods and praying there is also possible. Yes, it's possible to pray in the woods, but in the woods nobody will hand out the communion. Nobody will give you the confession in the woods. Will hear your confession. So you use what God gave you through the church, first of all. And if you manage to somehow balance your life in a good way and follow Christ, then your fight goes on in public. And then you have to choose what is your ability. Is your ability to speak out? Are you someone who can talk? Then try to speak to other people. I always say join the pro-life cause and the pro-family cause. It's very important. You have to defend the unborn and you have to defend the marriage. If you do not defend those both, your society will be corrupt and will be gone. This
is a problem.
Yes.
The pro-life movement, up until recently, has not been connecting it to the family.
Yeah, that's a
traditional
big problem.
And then sacramental marriage.
Yes, that's a very big problem.
Big problem.
Because the people try, just think of that. Would you protect a small puppy when it is small, and after you protected it for, let's say, 2 months, you just kick it out of your house and then say, now go on, live forever? That's not how it works. You have to, we talk about humans with an eternal soul. So if you protect them within the womb of the mother, you of course have to protect what comes afterwards. And it is not your duty to raise other people's children, but it is your duty to fight for their marriage, for their possibility to have the real marriage. And we know from the Bible, but of course also from the tradition, we know that the first thing God talks about from all the sacraments was actually the marriage. He talks about that he created humans as men and women, and then he said that's the reason after in the second part, he says that's the reason the man will leave his family and go together with the women, and they are one flesh. So I now give you a practical detail. It's very nice. So marriage, as for us Catholics, is about being one flesh. You can see this in real life. If God gives you the grace to have children, then your children are one flesh of you. It does not matter if you divorce and you live in, for example, you would live in the United States and your wife would live in Canada. That does not matter. Your children will always be 50% you and 50% your wife. So they are one flesh, actually. So if you go through this, you see that the children in the womb, of course, starting in the womb, are something which comes through, which shows us the sacrament of marriage. That's the reason it is not possible to try to divide the fight for the pro-life cause from the fight for the pro-family cause. And then, of course, that's the next reason that we think that a good society has its base on family. The family is the fundament for a good society. So if you do not defend the fundament, if you let the fundament break down, then the whole house will break down. And you cannot defend the unborn if the society is broken down. It does not work. So there are one of only 2 reasons now. You can go on and on for ages talking about the reasons why this is one fight, actually. Yes, and this is something we all have to know. So research it.
Yeah, it's interesting that, it's said that the last battle, the last attack of Satan will be on marriage and the family. And you go back to Genesis 2 and 3, and you see the beginning is he made them male and female. So that's now being attacked by the LMNOP agenda and the transgender. New pronoun, he is a she is a he, they, all these new pronouns. That's an attack on what God created, male and female. He created them, male and female. He created them, and it was good. And then also, then he joins them together, matrimony. That's attacked by the devil.
Yes.
Then he says, be fruitful and multiply. That's attacked by the devil with contraception and abortion.
That's it.
And then the next thing is Satan says, you shall be gods, which is neo-paganism.
Yes.
That we are God, that we are divine.
Creation is God, yes.
Yes, that all of create, yes. So everything that you see right now in this battle that we're beginning to have in the last few decades, all of that is originally Satan attacking what God did in the first 2 pages of the Bible.
That's it. So you have to understand something about this whole movements going on right now. The transgender and the gender ideology on the one side, and all of this very strange green ideology, which is not about saving environment. I have to repeat, it's not about saving environment. Green ideology is a kind of new communism, and globalist agenda has nothing to do with saving environment. I just give you an example. If you want to save environment, you have to know environment by heart. So you have to know, you have to live there, you have to know the regional things and so on. If you try to tell me that putting environment to some office which rules of the whole world, this is never going to work. I give you an example. In Austria, and you will have the same here in America, you have in different parts of the country, you have different flowers. And the very famous flower of Austria is the Edelweiss, as you all know.
Edelweiss,
yeah, it's a very nice song. That's it. So if you talk about the Edelweiss, then if you want to know how the Edelweiss works, you will have to talk with people who live with the Edelweiss. People who live in the Austrian or Swiss mountains. They will know what it's all about. Not someone who lives, for example, at the UN city of New York. It's not going to work. And this is only a very small example, but I think you get what I'm talking about. What we have to understand that there is a big philosophical misconception. People try to tell us that there is no reality, and that's the reason they are allowed to change what they do not call reality. I'll give you an example. They say in many modernist philosophical scriptures, for example, about something called constructivism, that actually what we see, so for example, what I see and what Taylor Marshall sees here is completely different. And we have it only in our minds, and we try to give it a meaning. And by conventions, we can talk to each other. And now I give you the most easy example to destroy that. If, for example, Taylor has the convention that a glass is not hard, but it's soft, and I have the convention that a glass is hard, but it's soft, then we will find out by taking the glass and hitting someone with it. It might sound harsh, but if I would hit Taylor with this glass, he would immediately see that it is hard, because it does not matter if he thinks about it as hard or not. He will have a wound, and the glass will be broken. So what we have to understand is, whenever they try to tell you that philosophy is about, explaining our different thoughts we have in mind, no, that's wrong. Philosophy is, the translation means the love of wisdom and science. So you try to love wisdom and science, and wisdom comes from knowing things. So being wise comes from knowing things by heart. And how do you get to know things? Watch them, listen to them, try to understand them, take them in your hand. That's the way how God created all of us, and that's the way it should be. And this is something I now try to call realism. And when we talk about Aristotle and then St. Thomas Aquinas, we always talk about their realistic approach to the world. And so do not let people talk you over to this modernist nominalism. It is wrong. Because if you are a nominalist, then suddenly things like, I was born a biological man, but now I consider myself a woman, are possible. Because actually there is no reality. So it is not about my biology. It's only about what I have here. And if I'm crazy up here, then I have the right to tell all of you to accept that. And this is something which is really wrong. I think gender ideology is a good thing to show us the problems here, because it is so, we all understand that this is really against our nature. Understand that and try to get into that, and then you will see the world's actually a very nice place. If you see it as a realist, suddenly you can be joyful. Go through the world. Be happy about sunshine and trees. Be happy about the smile of a little child. Be happy about a good family and a nice mass. Just be happy about it. It's not made up. It's real.
It's real. Yeah, in the end of 1300s, you see this division. You have the realists who believe in nature's forms, essences, that there is a dog nature, there is a human nature, there is a divine nature, all this. And then the nominalists, as you say, well, we humans can't really know anything that's out there in the world. So we're just going to take nomina, that's why it's called nominalism.
Yes.
Nomina, names, and we're just going to tag them, like at a store. We all agree that these things all look like dogs. We'll call them dog.
Yes.
All these things look like cat. They're not. There's no cat nature. We just call them cat, right? Now, some people thought that was a good idea, like William of Ockham and others. But once you buy into that, which is, by the way, it's denying God, essentially.
Of course.
It's denying the human soul.
Yes.
Because that's our human nature. Once you buy into that, you say, well, a man and a man, they have a lot of affection for one another. Let's just take the tag that we had on man and woman called marriage. We'll just put a tag on that, and we'll call that marriage.
That did.
And they did. And then once they did that, then they said, well, I was born a man, but I want to be a woman. So I take the tag and I put woman on me.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the problem. That's the problem. And Catholicism has always been deeply rooted in realism. This is why Thomas Aquinas is drawing off of Aristotle, and even in ways Plato as well. Because Aristotle sees in nature realities, forms, essences. And our intellect, unlike dogs and monkeys, our intellects can abstract forms and know the forms. That's our reason and our will.
And you know that this whole fight is nothing new. Even back then, Aristotle and Plato and Aristotle and Socrates, they had to fight against this too.
Yeah, the sophists.
There was the sophists, and the sophists told the people philosophy is about taking whatever you say and make it a better thing.
Yeah, rhetoric.
Yes.
It's all rhetoric.
So it was a fight we always had. So that's another thing I want to tell you all, and I think you will approve. You will say yes to that. Don't let people tell you that all the problems we have are new.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the people tell you all the problems we have are new, then it will give them the possibility to invent new solutions. Mm. We don't need new solutions because the problems of humanity have always been the same. They are rooted in sin. Most of the sins are sins of pride. So some people are just too proud of themselves, and then that's the reason they think they have the right to do certain things. And all these answers to all those sins were already given to us by Christ himself and by those who followed Christ and still follow Christ. So do not try to make something up. That's the reason I always say, do not destroy everything and say, okay, I'm dreaming of destroying everything and building up something new. No, rebuild it. We already had it.
The structure's there.
Yeah, the structure is there. It was given to us by God himself coming to earth. He was just think of it. He was wandering around Earth for many years, talking to the people in person. And there are Roman historians who wrote down what he said. So we have proof of that. Why is there anyone who can tell us that this is not true? It's just, I think it's nonsense actually. And nonsense is the real way. There's no sense in it. So you do not have a sense for reality actually. Reality is a big thing, and reality shows us always the way to God.
Yes. It's good. He created it. It's good. Okay, so we're going to do some Q&A. There's a lot of people who have questions. The number one question that I get on Twitter every day is, Alexander, how tall are you?
I'm 2 meters and 3 centimeters, which is 6.8.
Or 6 foot,
6
8
foot,
inches.
8 inches, yes.
6 foot, 8 inches. So I just want to say, when people say I'm short standing next to you, I'm not that short.
No. Dr. Marsha is a real man. I'm just very tall.
He's just very tall. And how tall is your wife?
My wife, I don't know it in
I'm gonna guess she's 5'4".
I don't know.
I think
that's what
I'm gonna
know.
guess that's what she is about. That's what. So
yes.
So there's quite a difference.
It's quite a difference. Yes, she's about 36 centimeters, 35 centimeters smaller than I am. Mm-hmm. But you know, she's bigger and taller than I am in her mind and in her heart. So
it's a beautiful couple. We before we rolled here, we watched all their marriage photos, and it was beautiful Austrian wedding and a gorgeous Cistercian church at the high altar, and the post party was in this beautiful barn, and by barn it's just a very 500-year-old structure. beautiful floors and decorations and hangings, and man, it was nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. I'm so happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's really a gift God gave me, and now I try to be a gift for her too.
Yeah, she's lovely.
That's, I think, you know, blessed. Do you know what Blessed Charles of Austria said to his wife when they married? The first thing he said,
Something get us to heaven?
it is my duty to get you to heaven and your duty to get me to heaven.
Mm.
It was the first things they said, and I was so impressed when I heard this. So now I try to do that too.
I like it. My wife on my wedding ring wrote on the inside, "Whither thou goest, I will go." It's from Ruth.
Oh, wonderful.
And it goes on, "My God will be your God," etc.
That's beautiful.
It's
Yes.
nice. It's kind of the same idea. Okay, so I'm going to open this up here. I've got the live stream going. We've got over almost 1,200 people here.
Wow.
So welcome to everyone.
Welcome.
It's great. And I'm going to just try to grab some of these questions. And if you guys got questions, on the right side of your screen is the live stream chat. And you can type something in there. And if it looks good, I will... I'll ask it to Alexander, and he'll give you the question. So, let's see here. Oh, here we go. This is good.
This one is a good one.
This one here.
Yes, I like it.
Okay, this is Sean Wu, and he says to Alexander, as a young Catholic man who wants to be priest, do you have any advice for me in any good books about the faith?
Yes, actually, I have advice. You know, many people here in America ask me for good books, and I have to disappoint them sometimes because most of the books I read in my life are German, and I do not know if there are translations of them.
Right.
But something I always tell the people, if you're already someone knowing the faith, you have to understand how the enemies of the church work. And therefore, the book Revolution and Counter-Revolution is a very, very good book. It's very easy to understand, and I really...
Plinio?
Yeah, it's Professor Plinio Correa de Oliveira, a Brazilian. It's really a fantastic book. I really like it.
This isn't the book, but this is a picture of him.
Yeah, that's him. He's really good. And you can get it, just Google it online or ask, there's a organization for tradition, family and property called TFP. They normally send you the books if you ask them. And this is something you should read. And then there's, actually, I want to tell you, in Germany and Austria, we had a tradition back in the pre-Vatican II times. I think you had it here too, about something called People's Catechism. It is priests write down the catechism, but not for other priests and clergy, but for the layman to understand all the rules of the catechism. And this is something I really recommend, because there you really understand the way, as a Catholic, you can go through your life. So these are two tips I can give you. And then there are some other books. For example, I read Lord of the World. Do you know that? It's a book written by a priest back then, when Pope Pius X was Pope. And he writes about how the future will be when the reign of the devil will come. And he writes about that. And it is actually, even though it sounds strange, but it's really a nice book and beautiful. Because it shows how these faithful Catholics thought of us in the future. And they thought of us, for example, that we have a nice church state and everything is still traditional.
New liturgy.
And no new liturgy. It's only traditional, and it's really wonderful. And he talks about how the world will develop. And unfortunately, many of the developments are already here and are even worse than he describes them. So the next one.
Good. Oh, and then Chanu, I would say there's a Fulton Sheen book called "A Priest Is Not His Own." A Priest Is Not His Own. I would recommend that book to you.
Oh.
All right, Sean. So thank you. And then the next one is from Spin Valve. Alex, what is your prayer routine?
Yes, I now say you what I try to have a prayer routine. Right now, through my trip through the United States, is a little bit different. But if I'm at home, we try to, if we get up in the morning, my wife and me, we try to have a morning prayer every day. The morning prayer normally is some parts in German, some parts in Latin. We have very nice old prayers for the morning. We pray to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, especially, to ask him for guidance.
Is that big in Austria? Because I know Blessed Carl.
It's very, very, very big in Tyrol, especially. And from Tyrol, it's spread over all Austria. So it is the Herz Jesu, as we call it, so Heart of Jesus, Heart of Jesus. It's really nice. And then we both try to pray a rosary over the day. if we do not make it, bring it together, we pray it by ourselves, but we try to do, both of us, one rosary, at least. More are always welcomed. And if possible, and I pass a church, I always go inside for a little prayer, and my wife does that too. She tries to visit many masses, so every day one mass. Unfortunately, right now I cannot do that mostly, because at the time where the masses are in Austria, I normally have to work already, but I try to do that too. And then, yes, an evening prayer, and the evening prayer is normally, we call it a Betrachtung. How do you call it if you rethink your day about the good, and you thank God for the good things?
Examination of conscience.
Yes, an examination. And with that examination, we do a Heart of Jesus evening prayer too, which is a very nice one. It's actually a very big, everything rhymes. It's really wonderful. It's from the 19th century. I normally do not like the 19th century because I like the older things more. And I see in the 19th century that they have a kind of technical way of speaking to the things. But especially the Sacred Heart of Jesus adoration is wonderful. It is a symbol that even in those times back then, when industrialism and anti-Catholicism really grew in Europe, within Europe, the church had a very good medicine for that, and this is the adoration of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and Mary too. So that's what we are trying to do, and then if possible, try to read for the daily prayers and readings from the Mass.
Excellent, good. Okay, so the next one is from John D. Decour. Alexander, what is your perception of traditional Catholicism in America compared to your home country, Austria?
Okay, first of all, you Americans are great with traditional Catholicism, actually. In Austria, we have wonderful priests right now, and the young clergymen are normally very happy about also learning traditional Mass and celebrating it. So I've really big hope for Austria. We will have a wonderful country in a few years, maybe give us a decade, and then I think you will find traditional Mass quite everywhere. But right now, it was still a big fight. A few years ago, traditional masses were normally quite empty, even though FSSP did wonderful work, and also not only FSSP, already also a few diocesan priests do it, and through monks. And right now, I see that this is really growing. But you have to understand something: our society is very well connected to the Catholic Church. So the problem is, as long as the official Catholic Church keeps setting up new synods about pagan idols, as long as this is happening, the public opinion is very separated, and the normal lay faithful are way better than the public faithful. And I'll tell you something nice. This is changing right now. There is a point of decision. So the people right now, if they are not believers, they would rather say, I don't think the Catholic Church is right at all, and they now start not to pretend anymore that they are Catholic still. It's very good. It's not good for them, but it's good for us, because then we know, okay, this is someone I have to pray for. This is something for whom I have to work. So it's actually quite good. And here in America, what I see is you have the freedom of speech, way more than we have it. And I really see that. I really see all of you in a very courageous way. So I take lots of my energy for working and fighting for the good cause from you Americans, actually.
Excellent. All right, thanks, John. So next question is from the well-known Steve Skojek from 1 Peter 5. He says, what did you two drink tonight? Bourbon or scotch? You can tell we have a little bit of rosy cheeks, don't we?
And we had, yes, we had beer.
We did. We had the Nursia
yes.
beer from Norcia, Italy. It's made by the Benedictine monks. We drank the blonde one.
Yes, very good one.
And then we had
the schnapps.
Yeah, it's called Benedictine. We drank some Benedictine, and
we might have a bourbon later. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a bourbon later. We didn't drink very much, just a little bit. A beer and a schnapps. I asked Alexander. I said, "What kind of whiskey do you like?" He said, "I don't drink whiskey."
Yeah, in Austria, we're about schnapps and beer. Beer, wine, schnapps.
Beer, wine, schnapps.
That's Austria.
And you know what's funny is we have a mega store called Total Wine. It's owned by Costco. They have everything, and I went to their schnapps section. And if you go to the whiskey section, it's 2 grocery store aisles long of whiskey, right? And I went to the schnapps, and it was about 3 feet wide and about 4 feet high. That was all the schnapps they had.
Oh, wonderful.
So
So
there's
you
no
see that
schnapps.
there's no schnapps culture
No
here, but
schnapps.
whiskey.
So and then
In Austria,
I
it's the
brought some
opposite
more
way
beers.
around.
Yeah.
In Austria, we normally have lots of schnapps all around, and every bar serves schnapps. So it's quite good.
Yes. Well, I mean, what's a good schnapps? I mean,
Actually, I can tell you.
Jägermeister's not schnapps,
No,
right?
no, Jägermeister is not schnapps. A good schnapps is clear. You know what? We have the difference. I think you too between liquor and schnapps. And liquor is if it's not clear, if you use schnapps but then you add something, and schnapps is only the burnt thing, so the spirit. And if you drink if you drink the good schnapps of Austria, for example, something called Zirbe, which is a tree schnapps from a tree which grows around Austria. It's very nice. You drink it and it tastes like the tree smells, so it's really great. And then we have a tradition of Marille. Just let me think. How do you call those orange? Peach. No, not peach. Not peach. The other orange fruit.
An orange.
No, it's not an orange. It's like a peach but smaller. Also, and you. I have to look it up. Actually,
Look it up.
I look it up because this is really wonderful.
A tangerine.
No.
Anybody out there?
Wait.
It's a little orange.
Apricot.
Apricot. Yeah. See, I always think of schnapps as really sweet, and there's peach schnapps and cinnamon schnapps and mint schnapps.
No, that's not Austrian.
And lots of horrible things.
No, that's not Austrian.
We have that, like a freshman in college drink.
We have
bad
plum, peach, apricot, nut. We have a big tradition of nut schnapps, which is very good. You will love it. And then we have different berries and berry schnapps and so on. So to be honest, everything that grows in Austria, we always also burn it and make a schnapps out of it. So but it's
burned.
It's a burn. Yeah, it's a burnt schnapps. And the typical
brandy is burned.
Yes, the typical Austrian actually drinks more wine and beer. And if you go to the countryside, then you have a stronger schnapps culture too. But wine and beer are the main drinks.
Okay, good. All right, so Steve Skojic, I hope that was satisfactory. Actually, we'll have a whiskey in honor of you, Steve, later on. You tell us in the comments what you want us to drink. I have a lot of stuff, so you tell us what to drink, and we'll drink that tonight before we go to bed. Okay, so the next question is from Miserere Mei Deus. Taylor, Alex, do you think this awakening you are talking about in Austria is happening throughout Europe due to the Pachamama Idols?
Actually, no, I do not think it's due to the Pachamama Idols. They just gave it another kick. It is, you know, people were told that the Catholic faith, even though everything is changing after Vatican Council and all the modern world, and we have to understand the modern world, we have to try to cope with it. People were told that the Catholic change will not change. It's just we have to talk about it in a different way, but the core of the faith is still the same. And they now realize that's not true. The people try to change it. You see, they always attack priesthood. They always attack traditional marriage. They always attack all of this.
Celibacy.
Yes, for example, now here in America, at your bishops' conference, they had a discussion whether abortion is
preeminent
or not. This is terrible.
Issue.
It is the main reason people die in America is abortion. Yeah. It's the main reason.
100% of people in abortion die.
Yes, and vice versa, of course, too. But it is so. This is something that's very important. Then there's something else going on, which I really want to tell you. If you live in Europe, you live in the wonderful buildings and next to the wonderful buildings which are built up by Catholic culture. We live next to wonderful abbeys, Gothic cathedrals, nice castles, nice farming houses on the countryside, and all of them have a sign of the cross on them. There's always, if you go through Europe, especially for the Catholic part and especially for Austria, you can really walk by foot and you will pass many signs of the cross, many little chapels where Saint or as a Holy Mother of God is inside and things like that. We call them Matel, which does not mean Matel from Mater, like Mater Dei. It is Matel because from Martyrium. It depicts the Martyrium of Christ normally, or it is a chapel of Our Lady or other saints. And so,
wait, are you saying martyrium as in martyr, or are you saying
yes.
or material?
No, as a martyr.
Martyr.
Yes,
martyr,
martyr of Christ. So for us, it is if you walk through the country and then you are kind of people get confused and kind of pushed away from modern society because now they see all the decadence, and then they look for something to hold on. And if you walk through our countries, you still see that there was something where people could hold on. And this is the Catholic faith. So people try to get this back. And you can also see that wherever this is not existing, because the Protestants were there and so on, people actually have a tendency back to paganism. So the Catholic faith prevents countries.
They want mystery.
They want mystery and they want God in their life. And if they do not find God as he came down to earth in real, and if they do not find the real God, they try to find wrong gods too. So it is not a big thing in Austria to have the pagans. It's rather in some parts of Germany and other parts. But now it comes in Austria too. So this is something you have to understand. And then the Pachamama thing gave us, yes, that's true, the possibility to talk about all of this publicly. And that gave people the possibility to turn around and follow Christ again, because they saw, okay, there are faithfuls out there and I'm with them and I want to join them. That's very good.
Excellent. Okay, so the next one is from Zarina. And Zarina asks, hello, Dr. Marshall and Alex. As a Catholic teen, how can I talk to my friends and classmates about what the real true Catholic faith is, especially since many of them are blocked by liberal ideas?
First of all, Zarina, it's fantastic that you already asked yourself this question, because that means that you're actually one step ahead of many others. So try to find something which is of value for your classmates. Try to ask them about the families and all of that, and try to find a point where you can point out that they understand the reality God gave the world. So, for example, try to find the teenagers who tell you that they love their family, that they love their parents. Try to find people who really understand, for example, what patriotism is, that it is good to love one's country because it is the place where you were raised and which gives you freedom and protection. So try to talk about those things. And as soon as you find them, as soon as you find these issues, explain to them why from this issue they can see that faith is something very important also in their life without them realizing it. Try to do it from that issue. It normally works because people do not get, they are not used to these discussions. They are used normally to talk about faith and society as two separate things, and show them it is connected. Show them, for example, that we believe that there must be a creator behind the creation, because we see that the whole creation has one order. There are no two orders or three orders. There's only one order, and you can prove that. You can show them a proof of that. Show them how the whole nature works. Show them how the society works, and show them that there's one order. And every time the people try to live with this order, it works out. And every time they try to destroy this order, it does not work out, and chaos is coming. So this is, for example, one possibility. And then I have to be honest with you. If you are a Catholic and you tell them, I am a Catholic, I believe in that, and you have the possibility, invite them to church. Go with them, invite them to traditional mass. They will see it, and they at least cannot tell you anymore that this is nonsense. Because if you look at the Catholic traditional mass, it's so pure and so of such a great order that people cannot tell you it's made up. Just like that. These are two ways of doing that. And yes, for doing that, you have to really know what you're talking about. So try to consult a good priest and good friends. Try to listen to Dr. Marshall's podcast. He's giving you good explanations and things like that.
Good. Okay. Andreas asks, Alex, has there been a legal backlash from removing the idols from the church? Also, were the idols ever retrieved from the river?
So there has not been a legal backlash yet, but I was in the United States this week, so I don't know if there is post in my post box. I will know it by this week, so I will tell you all. And were the idols ever retrieved from the river? Yes, other people they say that they retrieved them. That's all I can say to it. They say that. I don't think that's true. But maybe it is true. I cannot.
You've had a firsthand.
Yeah, I have some
more than the rest of us.
Yes, I talked to many of my friends in Rome, and most of them tell me it cannot be them being saved, because actually I was told that they said that they first published where they fished them out, and I know that some of those points where they said that they fished them out are impossible for them to reach or to fish out something. So let's see. But actually, it is not on me to judge on that. I will see. I will see.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, so the next question is, I picked these two because they go together a little bit. I think the answer will be similar, but restoring the faith, what is next for the Boniface Institute? And then Siegfried asks, in Alexander's opinion, in what specific way can young, faithful European Catholics begin to transform their countries and bring back the old Catholic culture? I know you're passionate about that, and it connects with St. Boniface Institute.
Yes. So I will now tell you, I will give an answer to Siegfried, and it will also be the answer for the St. Boniface Institute, because that's what we are going to work on. Right now, we have to know a few things. First of all, to transform the country and bring back the old Catholic culture is only possible by tossing out modernism as a whole. Do not try to reach that goal by using modernist things. I'll give you an example by the media, for example. If you do something good, if you are a pro-life activist, for example, or maybe you're in your Catholic parish and you try to care for them to being seen on the streets, and the leftist media is talking bad about you, do not give them any second of thought anymore. Only listen to only read good Catholic media. There is no possibility in winning those things. So we have, as a Catholics, we have to understand there is not going to be a victory for us playing by their rules, because whenever we win with their rules, they will just change the rules. So what we have to do is we have to raise awareness for that and work together only with Catholics, if it comes to a really constructive work, and with people who want to follow that cause too, out of other reasons. Maybe because they are also Christians, or maybe because they are not Christian, but they care for what you say. But work together with Catholics. Really try to sort out, are the people around me, are they faithful Catholics? And if they are not faithful, try to get them being faithful Catholic. Try to pray for them, take them to Mass, ask the priests maybe to maybe give them a stipendium and ask them to celebrate a Mass for these people. These are things which really, really work. They really work, first of all. Second of all, right now, what we do not have in Europe, but we will try to, this is something for the St. Boniface Institute, we are not very well connected within the traditional Catholics. We know each other, actually, from Chartres and other pilgrimages and from other meetings, which are wonderful. But there is no real connection. So it's not like we meet each other and tell, okay, so the next step will be this and the next step will be that. That's something we have to do. Because as we are Catholics, we believe that our work is that of the Ecclesia Militans. And militans, which our word military is also from, means fighting. So it does not mean fighting with guns or swords alone. That's not all about. It's a spiritual fight, as I told you before. And to fight these, you need an army. And to have an army, you need to collect the people. Like back in the Crusades, for example, when they tried to go to the Crusades, it was not easy at the beginning. They could not say, "Oh, let's all go," and everyone went there. It needed saints like, for example, Saint Bernard von Clairvaux, so the saint of the Cistercians. It needed saints like him, Saint Louis IX, and others, and Saint Leopold of Austria to lead the way. So we had people to lead and to collect the people fighting with them. And this is our duty right now. This is our duty for the St. Boniface Institute, and I will really work on that, and I think we will have a great success in the future, because we already won. We know from our Lord and Savior that we already won. The only difference is that right now Satan has still the possibility to take souls and crash them down into hell and really take them and destroy the eternal life with God. So our whole fight is not about winning the kingdom of Christ for Christ. He already won that. But trying to get as many people as possible following Christ right now, so that up there in heaven, God has many people and many saints with him, praying and adoring him. That's something we now need. So the army is up there, and we want to join it. So
They're the generals.
They are the generals.
We're the foot
we
soldiers.
are the foot soldiers. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this next question is related to a question that I wanted you to answer for people.
That's
so
wonderful.
The first question that I have that I've heard people ask is, how did you know, or what was your conviction that when we first saw the Pachamama idols, that they were not Our Lady? Because people were saying it's Our Lady of the Amazon. So how did you know as a Catholic in your soul, this is not the Virgin Mary? And then I think related to that question is the question here from Amato, and that is, what do you think of Our Lady of Guadalupe?
I first want to ask this question because it's so beautiful. I love Our Lady of Guadalupe. Since I heard of that the first time, it was after my conversion, I think a year after my conversion. I didn't believe it in first, and I thought, oh well, this is really happening. But as I was a Catholic back then, I really thought the Catholic Church is right. I tried to do a little research and went into looking at the whole picture of the Lady of Guadalupe and what happened back then, and I was so amazed. This is fantastic. So she is Our Lady of the indigenous, way more than anybody else could ever be. Okay.
And she's pregnant with our Lord.
Of course she's pregnant. And now I tell you a few things. I'm Catholic, so I will be very... I'm an Austrian, so I will be very clear on that. I would never depict Our Lady naked. I would never depict a pregnant child as a red, bloody something in the womb of a lady. I would always depict a child as a child, so that you see that this is a child, because every picture of a pregnant woman where you see the pregnant child as the child she's pregnant with too, you always see the child as a human. And on this statue, it was very strange with all the red and very confusing.
Because you saw it up close.
I saw it very close, as you all know. And they are really not, it's not very nice. First of all, this is very important. Second of all, if it would have been Our Lady, why did they call her officially fertility goddess and Mother Earth? They called her that officially. It's not, we did not make this up, actually. No. Even our Holy Father confirmed that these are Pachamama statues. He confirmed that. So we know that. And the lady who led the ceremonies in the Vatican Gardens, he told us that too. Mm-hmm. So my first feeling was, it cannot be Our Lady because she's naked. And I do not want to say ugly, but it's a very cheap picture of her. And then this strange pregnancy. These are the things which showed me from the beginning it's wrong. And then something what you all might heard already from me, when they told me within the church that they think that baptism is not too important for them. I knew that they could never pray and ask Our Lady for help if they say this too, because you would never ask Our Lady for help if you do not understand how important baptism is actually. Especially because at the beginning they told us that these statues depict not only Our Lady, but also Saint Elizabeth with John the Baptist within her womb. So it's really, really, really wrong. Don't let yourself get fooled. No. You have eyes in your head. Mm-hmm. You have a common sense for this. We are Catholics.
Yeah, everyone was troubled when we saw the video footage in the Vatican Gardens. Our souls were troubled, and I pray the Rosary every day. I love Our Lady. I got statues of her right here. I got statues all over my house of Our Lady. But the Holy Spirit, I just had this discernment. This is not good. This is not it.
And the point is, many people ask me, yes, but only because the statues are not very well made. It is wrong to have them. No, that's not what it's all about. First of all, we do not talk about someone back home taking a piece of wood, graving Our Lady inside and saying, okay, I'll have this to have a reminder of who Our Lady is for me and to ask her for help. These are statues used for strange rituals and then within the Catholic Church in Rome during a synod. So yes, it is also about how they are made and if they are well done too. So even though the modern, because now someone commented, because Da Vinci didn't paint her, she's ugly. That's not what it's about.
There are medieval statues of Our Lady that aren't proportional. They're a little bit unusual, but they're revered.
That's it.
because usually she's holding the Christ child,
Of
you know,
course.
and it's very obvious this is the mother of God.
Yes.
There's the Litany of Loretto where we give her dozens and dozens of titles.
Yes.
Mother Earth is never one of them.
No.
That is not Catholic, and that's what they called her. And you
it.
spoke to people in the church.
Yeah, they told it to me in my face.
Yeah. So I mean, and let's be honest, no one at the Vatican ever claimed this is the Blessed Virgin Mary.
At the beginning, they tried to do
There
that.
were a few people, we know who they are.
Yes.
They've been after us lately, this weekend, making fun of us. Oh, this is Our Lady of the Amazon. But they never went on and say this is the Blessed Mother of Jesus.
Never.
Just Our Lady of the Amazon, which...
They cannot do that.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the pop singer Madonna is named Madonna. That doesn't mean she's the Madonna.
No.
It's dumb.
Okay.
Do you know about Don Juan of Austria and Our Lady Guadalupe?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, he got a copy of it and put it on the ship at Lepanto.
I know.
Awesome.
I'm a great fan of the Battle of Lepanto because that's where you see how Christian soldiers act in the battle.
All right, let's do. How many more do you want to do?
Let's do 2 questions or 3 questions. That's it.
Let's do. Let's get. Yeah. Sorry, I was getting so into the conversation that I wasn't looking for good questions. Here we go. Oh, I like this one. This is a good one for a newly married Catholic man. This is from Mariadoc. Brandy book. Oh, this is a Lord of the Rings thing here. Alexander, what can young Catholic women do to best support their husbands in the Catholic faith against the toxic culture? Very good.
That's a very good question. First of all, I would have to pass this question on to my wife. But as I know what my wife does, and now as I saw that what Taylor's wife does, first of all, men need to be manly and women need to be female. Women need to be female. That's very important for us. We have to understand that for a woman to be a real feminine wife, this is a very high thing. It's not low to be feminine. It is very high. You know that the Queen of Heaven is a woman, and it's not a male saint. It's actually a female saint. And I always think that we husbands and men on earth, we have to do the dirty work, because this whole dirt is not there for the ladies. The ladies are way too high for this. They are here to give an own how can I say this? How do you say Gottesdienst? When I think that giving birth, for example, to a child and being a mother is something so high for me. It's something so high. It is a holy thing. So if women want to really help their husbands, try to strengthen them in being man, in being good men.
Respect.
Yes.
Respect is the currency for men. Not necessarily love. Respect.
So it's very important that you tell them, and you have to understand something. There was this survey which asked the people what happens if the husband is, the father is not faithful Catholic, but the mother is, and we saw that if the father leaves the real way, then most of the children go away too, and if the father stays, most of the children stay. And now on the first sight, it gives us a kind of image that the father is so important for him alone. But the father is nothing without a good wife next to him. So actually the mother also gives the husband, also her motherly love for the children is also given by her to the husband. And if she really does this, she knows that this is something which is also encouraging him to fight. You have, as a woman, you have to encourage your husbands to be a fighter for the good cause. We are men. We were not created to sit around and drink Coca-Cola every day. This is not what we were created for.
Or beer or whiskey.
Beer is great.
Yeah, but we were made to do. Yeah. To build society.
That's it.
Protect our women. Protect our children. Create civilization.
That's it.
And foster
or become priests, maybe.
And foster vocations and to be spiritual fathers.
That's it. The spiritual fathers and real fathers.
Yeah. Biological.
Both are real.
Yes.
Biological and spiritual fathers. And the same with the mother. There are spiritual mothers and biological mothers.
That's right. Okay, so our final question is from Jenny DeYoung. She says, this is related, how about suggestions for single older women trying to live the Catholic life the best Catholic life they can.
Okay, I now give you a saying we have in Austria. We say, as long as one lady still prays the rosary and one priest still celebrates the mass in a reverent way, the church is stronger than it was than every time. You know, so it's the strongest. I don't know the word right now, but that's what we say in Austria. We say that one mass a day and one rosary a day is what saves our world and the whole church.
And the devil loses.
And the devil loses. He will definitely lose. So now I tell you something. Single older women in Austria used to have a very high stand in society. So I try to put it in a traditional, connection now. We never thought of a woman or a man as someone bad if they did not marry. It's nothing bad. Marriage is not for everyone. It's not possible. Marriage is something we should be really. It should be our purpose to do that. So many women and many men, but more women actually, because men often died in wars and so on. Then a woman was alone. Many women were alone, and this we called it always a culture of aunts, because we all had some aunts who were not married. I do not have someone like this, but my father had a few actually, and my grandfather had even more. So it was a very normal thing back then. And what was their normally the way of living in society? First of all, they had more time to pray. This is something, it might sound less worth for a modernist, but we are now modernists, we are Catholics, we know how important that is. So you might have a greater impact on society as we have if you pray more, first of all. Second of all, care for your family. Try to reach out to all the other members of family. You have the possibility to be related to them, but not being in the core family. So your possibility is to have a kind of outer view on them without being a stranger. This is something very important for family life. So try to be one of those aunts or one of those grand aunts who tries to really care for the whole family in a pious and nice way. It is something which is very high. So this spiritual motherhood comes in here again. There are different ways of being that as a nun, but also if you're a member of a family, and you're always a member of a family and you're alone. This being alone means that you have the duty to care for people which pop up in your life. For example, if you're married, the number one duty for a married man and a woman is always to care for the children and the husband or the wife. And you have more spare time because you do not have this duty, and so God will give you other duties. Try to understand them, try to pray over them, and try to fulfill them. They are worth very, very much. It's very important. People like you build up our society.
Amen to that. All right. Well, we've had a good Q&A here. A lot of great questions. There's so many. I was looking through the questions and just grabbing some good ones. But thanks to everyone who left questions. And maybe we can do it again some other time. This is a good format. Easy, laid back Sunday night. So thanks everybody for watching. And we'll close in prayer. And I just want to share a closing thought. Of course, always pray the rosary. But I love going to Latin Mass with friends where English isn't their first language, right? Because we go to the Latin Mass and you are saying the responses next to me. I'm saying the responses in Latin, and we're on an equal footing at the altar. I love it. And I've done this, I've traveled all over and been with people, maybe they're Spanish speakers or they're Italians or French, whatever. But when we go to the Mass, we're the same. And I was reminded of that today as we were at Mass together, because I could hear you. I could hear you doing the responses and your wife doing the responses and me doing the responses. And we were united in Christ in this great Latin Mass. So it was wonderful. And we'll close with a prayer. And since I don't know the Hail Mary in German, I think we should do it in Latin.
Yeah, we can do it in Latin.
Yeah, okay. We'll do it in Latin, and I'll put it on the screen for everyone. And before I do that, I just want to ask everyone, please go and check out the St. Boniface Institute. That is the institute that Alexander is running and heading up with a bunch of other great guys, a couple of whom I have met. and they're doing great work. And we need to support our Catholic brothers and sisters. Let me lean into the microphone here. I'm too far away. We need to support our Catholic brothers and sisters in Europe. We cannot give up on Europe. They are our fatherland. They are our patrimony. The good that we have comes from these great saints. I mean, yes, there are saints from the Middle East, and there are saints from Syria, and there are saints in Greece, and saints in North Africa, saints all over the world. But so much of the good that we do have comes from these nations, Austria, especially with the Holy Roman Empire. So I want to invest, and I want to help, and I want to pray for Alexander, St. Boniface Institute, and the people working with him. And hopefully this continues to grow. The website is to go to Boniface Institute.
Boniface-institute.com.
Yes. And he has a Patreon page, because Americans are asking, how can we support you? And it's too complicated to do euros and transfer money. So I just said, get a Patreon. People know how to do that. And the Patreon page is St. Boniface Institute. So you can go there and make a monthly pledge. I'd encourage you to help them do that. And if you like this video, please subscribe and hit notifications all. That way, when we do these random live streams, like on a Sunday night, instead of watching something dumb on TV, you can come on and listen to Alexander Tschugguel do Q&A. So please hit the subscribe button. Please subscribe to Alexander's channel, which is called Michael Del Buffalo.
Yes, I will. If you go to my Twitter account, I will release a tweet within the next hour, and then you can go there.
Very good. And follow him on Instagram, social media, whatnot. And then please like this video if you haven't hit like yet. That helps a lot. And we'll close in our prayer. I'll put it on the screen, and we'll do the Hail Mary. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
Amen.
Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. Gloria Patri, et Filio, et Spiritui Sancto.
Sicut erat in principio, et nunc et semper, et in saecula saeculorum. Amen.
Amen. All right, remember to pray the rosary every day, as Our Lady of Fatima asked us. Pray 5 decades every single day. Shoot for 15 on Sunday. If you're not praying the rosary every day, you're not on the team. And remember that our Lord Jesus Christ said that you are the light of the world and the salt of the earth. So go out there and be salty. Alexander, thanks for being on.
Thank you for the invitation. I really, really, really enjoyed my time here.
Excellent.
God bless you all.
All right, signing off. Godspeed.